This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Fala pessoal, tudo bom? Igor aqui, trazendo um vídeo. E hoje eu vim trazer para vocês
All of his co-workers were
Stanley
gone.
Parable.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Bem, ele é um ótimo jogo, sinceramente. Ele é um dos melhores jogos que eu já joguei, sinceramente. E vamos lá. Bem, um dos negócios mais legais desse jogo é o simples fato que você não precisa seguir tudo que o narrador fala. Olha só.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Eu posso escolher que lado eu posso ir. Eu vou na... Vamos fazer o final certo. O final que a gente obedece o que ele fala.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Olha,
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
A gente também pode
office.
subir. E a gente vai subir. Vamos nessa, vamos nessa, vamos nessa. Ó.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number,
Uma dica, quem quiser ganhar uma conquista,
2845.
se você ficar
But of
apertando o 8
course,
toda hora,
Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
você ganha uma conquista, que no caso é essa daqui. Não deu pra mostrar, eu tô sem Wi-Fi infelizmente. Mas... 845. Eita, errei. Calma. 2, 8, 4...
Stanley just sat
Meu
around
Deus, eu tô
twiddling.
errando
Stanley
toda hora.
simply began entering random codes into the
2,
keypad,
8,
knowing full
4,
well the sheer
5.
statistical unlikelihood, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Uma passagem invisível aqui. Uma parede invisível. Agora está descendo. E tá carregando. Vamos esperar um pouco. Esperamos.
Descending
Okay.
deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
esse aqui é um outro
Facility.
final também, mas a gente vai fazer o certo. Vamos ver o que será que vai acontecer.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Tem que apertar esse botão.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ok. Nossa, é 247 a nossa sala. Ó, a gente é esse aqui, ó. Não. Não é aquele ali, não. Me perdi. Vamos chamar o elevador.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
247. Aquele ali. Não é aquele. Que estranho. Não.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
A gente pode dar a partida ou a gente pode desligar a máquina completamente. E a gente vai desligar a máquina. A gente desligou a máquina. E aí, como é que ficou? Que isso? O que seria isso?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command.
Como se eu nunca
Freedom
soubesse
was
disso.
mere moments away.
Como se ninguém nunca soubesse disso.
Even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Ok, Estamos na saída.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Então é isso, galera, espero que tenham gostado do vídeo. Eu vou fazer só esse final hoje e eu vou trazer outros finais.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Que tem muitos
What
finais
could
nesse
it
jogo.
mean? Stanley
isso.
decided to go to the
Gostou do
meeting
vídeo?
room.
Se gostou,
Perhaps he had
dê
simply
like,
missed a
inscreva-se no
memo.
canal.
No matter how
Falou.
hard Stanley looked,